In FREEDIVER, you're being interviewed about your research ship that sunk. The story is told in a similar way to the film Titanic, except you actually take part in the offence as it's being told. The game properly begins with a tutorial. Here you will learn how to swim and how to survive the ocean. To navigate the waters, you must breaststroke, and to turn you use only one hand. Although it takes a little while to get used to the movement scheme, as it's a completely brand new one we haven't experienced in a VR game yet, it does work incredibly well, and it does need to, as you will be racing to resupply your oxygen levels constantly. To resupply your oxygen, you can either hold an oxygen tank mask up to your face, or obviously swim to the surface of the water. You always know how much oxygen you have left thanks to an indicator on your arm, and it is easily readable. Another thing that is attached to you is a torch that can be taken from your chest. Interaction like this has appeared in many other VR games before, but the torch is actually attached to a bit of rope which is physics based. It just adds that extra bit of immersion and makes your virtual body feel that much more real. After the tutorial, you move on to the main appeal of this game, and that's being stuck inside a sinking ship. Water raises gradually and it's very intense, especially as oxygen tanks and pockets of air are spread around the ship. It becomes a dash to get to the next air supply as quickly as possible, and extra interaction such as having to open a door or vent only increases the panic and immersion of this world. Increasing the realism so much more is the ability to grab onto objects. You can push yourself away from them and use the momentum to navigate around the ship rather than swimming. If I ever swam an oxygen tank, I would quickly grab onto a wall to stop myself. It's moments like these that really engage the player with the actual environment. I can't express how good these movement controls feel. It's been an incredibly long time since a new way of moving around a virtual world has impressed me so much. Some moments require you to use the environment too, like when a flow of water is pushing you backwards. Some light puzzles also make an appearance. They're not added to really test the player's puzzle solving skills, they're more there to challenge the player's calmness when they're under pressure. Although the game is going for more of an intense and panic inducing setting, some of the views can be quite creepy, especially when you're having to use a torch to see the rooms around you. The sound design also does a terrific job at putting you at unease. You hear the ship creaking as it becomes even more submerged. And when you resurface for air, you hear your character gasp. The sound design absolutely enhances the experience so much. The game only took me just over an hour to beat, so it is on the short side, but it is a high quality game from start to finish.
Just over an hour? That's a third of the runtime of the film Titanic. Just watch that, you thrill junkies.
That's hardly going to be as exciting as actually virtually being on a sinking ship, and Mr Oculus, don't insult our audience. As you would expect, your movement does feel very floaty. You are in water after all, so there is a high chance that some may feel motion sick after long periods of play. The game does come with some options that you can turn on or off though, to help with the motion sickness. You can turn on snap turning and can also turn on a border. You can also turn on swim assist that allows you to press a button to swim forwards rather than having to physically move your arms. When playing with the motion swimming on, it can get quite tiring waving your arms around all the time. For the tutorial level anyway, as it is set in quite an open area. Once you get onto the ship though, you will likely grab onto things to move around too, which makes the journey less tiring. You will likely want to increase the turn speed when playing with motion on too, as the default setting actually makes the game harder. It's pretty slow on default, so having to spend a few seconds just to turn around when time is of the essence can help towards the game over.
And how long does it take for you to die in the cold sea?
That isn't a gameplay feature here.
Well, it's not very faithful to its source material then.
This isn't based on Titanic, Mr Oculus. Loads of ships sink. I haven't had this much fun in a disaster game for a very long time, and it's mainly thanks to the excellent controls. Around the halfway point, I was alternating between swimming and grabbing onto objects so efficiently, which made the search for more oxygen just so thrilling. I just wish the game was longer. There are some audio logs to seek out, but the ship's design is pretty linear overall, and doesn't offer too much exploration off from the main path. Overall, if a sinking ship scenario sounds exciting to you, then you really have to experience this. The movement along with the sound design just immerses you so much, and although it is short, it's a thrill ride all the way through.
Or if you're looking for more bang for your buck, may I recommend the Titanic Extended Edition. It adds an extra 13 minutes of runtime.
This isn't a good argument. You're not actually there with that. It's not as exciting.
Well, my friend, you haven't had the pleasure of experiencing Titanic 3D.
Mr. Oculus.